Exactly. Nobody had the snitch, but blacks are making a big deal about the fact that Gucci's name is on the paperwork. That's all blacks are talking about now. You know what I mean? That's all blacks are talking about right now.
Oh my God. So paperwork has officially come out in this Gucci Mane Pooh Shiesty situation. The official criminal complaint has dropped. You know, I got a copy of it right here. Y'all know how I do. And man, boy, this thing is interesting because we had people saying Gucci Mane told on Pooh Shiesty. And this paperwork right here seems to confirm that notion, right? So I ain't gonna waste no time with this one right here. I'm trying to get it out. You can see we got the sealed file right here. It was filed March 30th. It's the criminal complaint. It says the complaint in this case states that on or about January 10, 2026 in the county of Dallas, the defendants violated Code Section 18 USC 1201 A and C, which is kidnapping conspiracy to commit kidnapping, right? It does have a brief introduction, and apparently this affidavit was in support of the application for the criminal complaint, right? So it says, Brittany Garcia, that's the FBI special agent that was other individuals who have participated in this investigation. Okay, it names all of the people that were arrested. And
yeah, think about that. There's no way that Gucci and his associates would know all the members. This dude brought a bunch of gang members with him. There's no, I don't know. Maybe Gucci does know all of them. I don't know, but maybe he does. I don't know.
Including Pooh Shiesty, which is Lontrell Williams Jr., his dad, and Rodney Wright, which is Big 30. And then it gets right into it, right? So I want to bring y'all's attention right here to the very first page, probable cause. It says on January 10, 2026 at approximately 4:50 p.m., victims who will be referred to throughout this affidavit by their initials or collectively as the victims, and it's got some initials here, RD, MM, and BP, were kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint at a music studio located on Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas. And RD, people are assuming stand for Roderick Davis, which is Gucci Mane's real name, right? It says at approximately 1 p.m. on January 10th, the victims flew into Dallas, Texas alongside RD's head of security, referred to in this paperwork as CW, and other security officer that's referred to in this paperwork as TD, for a scheduled business meeting between RD and Pooh Shiesty, who has been signed
So
to a recording
he brought security with him, and you held the security at gunpoint and robbed him. That's a security firm. Gucci wouldn't have to snitch. All he would have to do is be like, yo, after the security firm called the police and said what happened, of course he was there. All he had to do is say he was there. Yeah, I was there. He don't have to give no statement to end up in the paperwork. He was there. He didn't have to give a statement to end up in the paperwork. It's a security. They robbed a security firm.
Track for RD's music label 1017 since approximately 2021. So if there was any doubt that this is Gucci Mane, there isn't now, because I mean, what other RD is gonna own 1017, right? It says Gucci and Pooh Shiesty were scheduled to meet because Pooh Shiesty was upset with the terms of his contract and wished to be released from his contractual obligations. Pooh Shiesty had asked Gucci Mane to come to Dallas on this date so they could meet about business. At approximately 1:45, the security guards and the victims of this crime arrived at the scheduled meeting location, which was a music recording studio located within a larger office building. When the security and the victims entered the office building, they realized the recording studio, owned by an individual known as JN, was closed. While they waited for the studio to open, the five went to a liquor store and purchased liquor in plastic red Solo cups before returning to the studio. Pooh Shiesty's dad called JN, the owner of the studio, multiple times on the day of the meeting. At approximately 2:53, JN answered the phone and learned that Pooh Shiesty's dad was attempting to book a recording studio that afternoon for Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane to record music. At around 3:15, he opened the studio for everybody, and investigators later collected and reviewed surveillance video captured at another business location in the same office building on the same floor as the recording studio, which shows Pooh Shiesty's
Pooh Shiesty and they're bringing other people into it. They booked this guy's studio to do the robbery in. Why would you book a studio? Okay, so I guess you just set him up because you probably think Gucci probably you want him to be, relaxed. You don't want him to be like, you don't want to say meet me under the overpass or meet me in the alley. You want to say, hey, we booked studio time, but you still bring other people into it. And that's going to be a witness. The studio owner or the director of the studio is now a witness. he's going to get a subpoena to come testify. And they're going to subpoena his videos. They're going to subpoena his surveillance cameras. Then they're going to subpoena his phone and his computer to see what the correspondence between you and him was. I really don't even know if Gucci snitched. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even know if Gucci snitched. Not that I care. I don't care that he snitched. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter one way or another to me if he snitched. But judging from all this, I don't know if he snitched. I just think he was there. So they got to put him on the paperwork. He was there. Whoever was there is going to be labeled as a victim.
At outside of the office building at approximately 3:27 p.m. on January 10th. Pooh Shiesty's dad appears to be speaking with someone on his cell phone before entering the building at or around 3:28 p.m. At approximately 3:30.
Hey, look at all this. Look at all this they got, man.
39, an employee of the studio arrived to assist with production, probably an engineer. It says when the employee arrived, Pooh Shiesty's dad and him were standing at the back door of the office building, engaged in what appeared to be an argument over the phone. At approximately 3:43, Pooh Shiesty, his dad, Big 30, and a bunch of other people entered the office building. The target suspects, that's everybody that was arrested, walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio. One individual with a dreadlock hairstyle, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the office building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulder. Right, I got some pictures here. It says the 9 individuals entered the studio's control room, where inside the victims were watching a football game. One of the security guards was positioned in the studio lobby, while another one remained in the vehicle that they arrived in. Depicted below are photographs of the studio lobby, the studio control room, and the studio recording room, taken from the Dallas Police Department body camera and crime scene photographs captured from the night of the offense. It says that the victims overheard Pooh Shiesty talking on his cell phone, potentially with a probation or parole officer, stating that his caseworker had given him permission to be out for rec time. From what the victims could hear, Pooh Shiesty was informed that that was not the case and that he needed to return immediately. So
he's talking to his probation officer on the phone, who's telling him, hey, man, I didn't let you leave the state or the city or whatever. I didn't let you leave the jurisdiction. Get back to Memphis now. They're in Dallas. He said, get back to Memphis right now. That was a blessing. That was God sending that, man. What's the odds that your probation officer going to call you right before you're going to do some dumb shit? Press 1. What's the odds that your probation officer going to call you right before you about to do a robbery? Like you setting the robbery up, the dude's coming in and your probation call you. Hey, man, get back to Memphis now. I'm looking at your GPS. It says you're not in the city. It says you're in Dallas because you got a GPS on your ankle, dummy. Get back now. And you still go through with the robbery. Listen, when I did that before, I got slammed, man. When I got blessings like that, yeah, he going up getting life, man. When I got blessings, or he going to get 25 years or something like that, maybe. He might get 25 years, right? When I got warned before I did some stupid shit and did it anyway, I literally got slammed for it. Anybody else been through that situation? Well, you got warned, a blessing, an angel came and warned you not to do some shit, and you did it anyway? Who ever been in that situation? Because I've actually had that happen.
He agreed. It says that he was wearing an ankle monitor, leading the victims to believe that Pooh Shiesty was on house arrest. Gucci told Pooh Shiesty that they could reschedule their studio session, but Pooh Shiesty requested to speak with Gucci Mane privately in the attached recording room. Gucci agreed. They entered the recording room. It was him, Pooh Shiesty's dad, and Big 30. Meanwhile, MMMVP remained in the control room with the 6 other individuals and continued to watch the football game. It says one of them offered to share the liquor that they had purchased with the target suspects, and at least 2 of them accepted. Inside the control room, Pooh Shiesty produced purported contract termination or release paperwork from a bag and told Gucci Mane to sign. When Gucci declined, Pooh Shiesty became agitated and they started to argue. 2 of the guys that were there could see inside the recording room and initially believed that Gucci and Pooh Shiesty were just discussing business. But as MM saw the conversation intensifying, he texted one of the security guards who was still in the music studio's lobby. As the argument inside the recording room ensued, Pooh Shiesty instructed Big 30 to get his bag. Big 30 complied, leaving the recording room before returning with a bag. Pooh Shiesty then pulled what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed it at Gucci Mane, demanding that Gucci sign the contractual release paperwork. Gucci complied, signed the paperwork for Pooh Shiesty while his dad and Big 30 stood by. Gucci was not allowed to leave the recording room while he was being held at gunpoint by Pooh Shiesty. It says the Big 30 pulled out a cell phone and started to record Gucci Mane signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he released Pooh Shiesty from the contract.
They recorded it. They recorded it themselves. Listen, man. I guess they wanted to make sure that it wasn't that, it was legal, I guess. Like, hey, man, this isn't a forgery. This is really Gucci's signature. This ain't a forgery. But still, man.
After the release was signed, Pooh Shiesty took Gucci Mane's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and the cash that he had on him. So everybody was wondering, did Pooh Shiesty, rob Gucci Mane like forcefully? Was it him that did it? And apparently, according to this special agent, it was. It says after Gucci signed the contract.
That's a good point right there, man. That's a hell of a point you just said. He said if Pooh Shiesty forced Gucci Mane to sign a paper to release him from his label, Gucci has to report that to the police because he does not know what he signed. He might have signed his business over to the dude or something. That's a hell of a point. I didn't even think of that myself. Like in that high pressure situation, somebody just give you a contract. You ain't reading that shit. Motherfucker tell you sign right here on the dotted line. Give you a big ass, contract, bunch of pages and shit, and just say sign right there, motherfucker, at gunpoint. Yeah, you ain't reading that shit. You're not reading all the bullet points in that. You don't know what the you just signed. You could have signed over, you could have signed over your house and shit. That's true. That's a great point, man. That is a phenomenal point. Salute to you, Waylon Perez, man. God damn, that's a good point. But still, niggas, fake street niggas and real street niggas, they all gonna be like, that's snitching. You gotta come back and kill Pooh Shiesty or some shit like that. Like, that's the only way to handle it. Come back and kill Pooh and go to prison for the rest of your life. That's the only way you can really do it. Niggas, this is the way niggas are, man. Like you said, bad motherfucker syndrome, man.
Actual release paperwork. Pooh Shiesty provided the paperwork to his dad and asked him if the paperwork was good. His dad advised that the paperwork needed to be dated, so Pooh Shiesty then forced Gucci to add a date next to his signature. As Gucci, Pooh Shiesty's dad, and Big 30 exited the recording room, the remaining subjects that came with them produced handguns or AKAR style pistols and began to demand property from everybody that was in the room. It says this guy BP was pushed onto the couch in the control room where the individual known to BP as CMO Damn Fool searched his pockets and stole his wallet, his chain, and a necklace bearing the moniker 1017 were stolen from his neck by another subject he knew as Glizzy 375. And during the robbery, this Glizzy 375 guy threatened to shoot this guy for moving, but Pooh Shiesty instructed him not to. It says BP further identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375 as being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, and that during the control room robberies, this guy Baby Slime 375 possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified an individual they knew as KD, later identified as this guy Waters, as also being involved with the kidnapping or robbery, possessing a firearm and holding them at gunpoint. It says that this one guy was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping or robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck and wrist. It says that he was robbed of his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag that contained multiple other high-dollar watches, Apple AirPods, and his wallet at gunpoint by one of these guys. It says that he confirmed that his Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and wallet cache had an Apple AirTag, which is a location tracking device, attached. As the altercation inside the control room ensued, Wright walked over to the studio door to the lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing the victims from leaving. That's Big 30. It says CW and TD, the victims' security guards, watched Big 30 barricade the door and attempted to force their way into the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn, CW and TD managed to partially open the door, but recognized that they were outnumbered by the people that came with Pooh Shiesty. It says Gucci was pushed onto the couch couch in the control room, causing the victims to believe that they were going to be executed. Pooh Shiesty placed the barrel of the firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and Gucci to leave the control room and the studio through the west entrance of the office building. Gucci then instructed CW and TD to escort them back to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Based on later recovered surveillance footage, the target suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance at approximately 4:48 p.m. Okay, and they got some pictures of them leaving right here. Right, they got pictures of the vehicle that they were in. It then goes through, you know, how they found out who one of these cars belonged to, and it was through the Hertz rental company. A Buick Enclave that they used was registered to Pooh Shiesty's dad. It then goes through and lays out that Pooh Shiesty was indeed on electronic location monitoring. Then Pooh Shiesty's dad went to Staples at about 1:50. They know it was him because he was in the Buick that he rented in his name from Hertz. He parked and then went inside to use their copy/printer machines to make copies of the contract that Pooh Shiesty had just forced Gucci to sign. They know he did because they obtained a copy of the receipt that confirms that this transaction occurred. They got some cell phone records that prove they were there too, but I mean, they got surveillance footage. So this is just like backup proof that everybody was there. I don't want to waste y'all's time reading a bunch of stuff that really don't matter. They go through having an APHIS hit on some of the fingerprints that returned to some of the guys that was with them. It says that MM, BP, and RD all personally knew Pooh Shiesty by both his legal name and the name under which he performs, Pooh Shiesty. They identify him in his paperwork with his Instagram account handle right here. And this is where people are saying that the paperwork proves that Gucci Mane spoke to the police and identified Pooh Shiesty, because it says the individual depicted throughout that account matches Williams Jr. or Pooh Shiesty. MM and RD, Gucci Mane, described Williams or Pooh Shiesty as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, black hooded shirt, and black pants during the offense. Okay, so it's right there in black and white. Gucci Mane described, I'm assuming to the police, exactly what Pooh Shiesty was wearing when they committed this crime. It says that they also identified Pooh Shiesty's dad, Big 30, and you can see RD right there. RD identified Wright, a well-known hip-hop artist, also known as Big 30. They identified his Instagram account, and then they did the same with the rest of the guys. They also put up these posts right here that shows the watches that were stolen from them being posted on Instagram. You can see this dude wearing the same outfit right here with the watch, right? And I mean, they got a ton of these social media photos. Look at me scroll through here, bro. Absolutely insane the amount of self-snitching that these dudes were doing by posting everything online. You know, it then goes through a bunch of information about all the other guys, which nobody's really interested in. And it gives a conclusion. It says, based on the facts set forth above, there is probable cause to believe that on January 10, 2026, in the Dallas division of the Northern District of Texas, all of these guys conspired and committed kidnapping in violation. And that's pretty much what led to the criminal complaint and led to Pooh Shiesty being arrested. So, yeah, man, that's what we got. The paperwork clearly says that Gucci Mane cooperated and identified everybody. And you know what? I gotta say, I don't blame Gucci Mane. This is business. This ain't the streets. You are signed to a record deal with this guy, bruh. You can't just show up waving guns around and forcing people to sign paperwork, releasing you out of your contract, and you think it's all gonna be good. I don't blame Gucci at all. I would have told too, but that's what we got. And y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about it in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button.
Same Black time, same Black channel. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We come hard tomorrow, man. We have a great show tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow. Make sure you get here tomorrow. We going bananas tomorrow. I'm out of here. Subscribe.